Hello guys, for today we are going to talk about reflexive verbs, or we call it in Spanish, verbos reflexivos. La introducción, or the introduction says, it is a verb performed by a subject whose action is returning to that subject. So it is a reflection. You give a signal and then receive the signal's effect. So, what it means that? For example, we have this verb. I love myself. Yo me amo. So that it means, as you can see, I do an action. That is, I love myself. So this action that I did is reflected on me. So that it means it is a reflection. I do something on my own and it is reflected on me. So the meaning in Spanish is yo me amo. Yo me amo. I enjoyed myself. Yo me divertí. Yo me divertí. He get dressed. Él se viste. I get up. Yo me levanto. So all of these actions are reflection. It is an action that I do on myself, by myself. Okay? More examples. I take a shower. Yo me baño. Yo me baño. Okay? So you can see, all these gets are reflexive verbs. For example, I get excited, you get down, he gets up, I get impressed, you get upset. All of these verbs with get are reflexive verbs. Also, we have a particle in the middle that we call it reflexive pronouns. And as you can see, we are going to use it depending on the subject pronoun. We have the first one, yo, and I have to use, or you have to use, the particle me. Tú, you have to use te. Él, ella, usted, se. Nosotros, nosotras, nos. Vosotros, vosotras, os. I have to mention vosotros and vosotras is used in Spain. In Latin America, we don't use it. We don't use it at all. Most of the time we use the subject pronoun ustedes. Then we can continue ellos, ellas. Then you have to use the particle se. To continue, we have some reflexive verbs, and the first one is aburrirse. That it means to be bored. Acostarse, that it means to sleep. Arreglarse, that it means to make up or to get dressed. Bañarse, to take a shower. Also, we have a synonym, ducharse. Ducharse means to have a shower. And cansarse, to be tired. Enojarse, to get upset. Despertarse, to wake up. preocuparse, to get upset, as well that enojarse, they are synonyms. Vestirse, to get dressed. Desvestirse, to get undressed. Dormirse, to sleep. Enfermarse, to be sick. Levantarse, to get up. And despertarse, to wake up. All of these verbs, as you can see, are reflexive verbs. Why we know that? Because we have a particle at the end of the verb. That is this, se. The particle se. Just in this case, the S and E, it is the particle that can tell you it is a reflexive verb. Now we have an example of the conjugation. In this case, we have a verb that is levantarse, that it means to get up. To get up. Okay, so in this verb, we can see two things. The first one is we have the particle se at the end of the verb that can tell you it is a reflexive verb. But also we have that this verb ends with AR. So because ends with AR, we have a regular conjugation for this verb. This is, remember that we have three types of regular verbs that ends with AR, ER, and IR. In this case, levantar ends with AR. So we can start to conjugate it in the present tense, or in the simple present. Yo me levanto. Okay, so we start with the subject pronoun, then with the reflexive pronoun, me, and finally the verb ending AR, and try to conjugate it in the simple present. Levanto. We replace the AR for the letter O. Tú te levantas. Tú te levantas. Él, ella, usted se levanta. Él, ella, usted se levanta. Nosotros, nosotras nos levantamos. Vosotros, vosotras os levantáis. Ellos, ellas, ustedes se levantan. Okay? And just remember how to conjugate a reflexive verb properly. You have to identify the particle se, or the se ending. Find the AR, ER, IR to conjugate properly. Follow this rule. You have to say first the pronoun, then the reflexive pronoun, and then the verb. So, for example, yo me levanto. I get up. Yo me levanto. And that's it. When a subject performs an action that is received by an object, animal, or person, in this case, we don't have to use the reflexive verb, because this is not reflected on the subject. This is reflected by an object, animal, or person that is not the subject. So in this case, we have I make my dog sleep. Yo duermo a mi perro. As you can see, we are not using the particle me like in the reflexive verb, because this is a normal verb. Yo duermo a mi perro. This is a normal verb because we have an animal who receives the action of the verb. Okay, this is not reflexive verb because the reflexive verb, it is an action that I do and it is reflected on me. So it is I do an action by myself on myself. Okay, and we have another example, and as you can see, María takes a shower. María se baña. In this case, this is a reflexive verb, of course, because this is an action that she did on herself by herself. So I hope you like this class and you can learn a little bit about the reflexive verbs in Spanish. So see you. Bye bye.